G'day guys, welcome back to In My Shed IBC. Although today I'm not in my shed, I'm enjoying the outside weather. Bloody beautiful spring here in Queensland. For a couple of years now I've had people asking me for a good text to learn tool and cutter grinding. And they seem to be of the opinion that one short read of a single text and you'll know the lot. Well, it's far from the truth. I've probably got 30 different books on tool and cutter grinding, a lot of old machinist manuals like Meltrecht and Burkhoff, and you get a little bit of a hint out of each book, but I haven't to date seen a book that really describes absolutely everything. Probably one book that tried it was The Technology of Machine Tools, but it's now divided up into 5 different books and it's worth a bloody fortune. I'll still say that the Norton book, Tool Room Grinding, or the carbureted version, which I think is a carbon copy or vice versa, I'm not sure, is a very good primer. It was written with the intent of giving tradesmen the answers on how to do the job. So yeah, that's always going to be a good one to fall back on. Still available on eBay for a very small price, quite good. For quite a few years I've been spouting on about this book, the Cuffle Tool and Cutter Grinder Manual. It is good in that it's very pictorial. It shows the clearance setting gauge, which I'd still like to get my greedy little hands on, one of those. Yeah, that's quite good. But today, in the mail, all the way from the US of A, surprise, surprise, comes this. Written by Johnson Shipman, and quite a neat little handbook. The pages aren't as small as they appear. It's been shrunk down. I don't know if it's cheaper or better for postage, but it reads, and this caught my eye, Precision Grinding Techniques Primer. And I've had a J&S surface grinder that I passed on recently, and I now got a J&S cylindrical grinder, and I'm very impressed with the equipment. It's not only built like a brick shithouse, but it does the job extremely well. Although I'm still a little bit scared of the cylindrical grinder, the wheel's pretty big and I hate to see it blow apart. But this book doesn't have all the info, but it does have a lot of info that tradesmen are after. Very well laid out index, and there's a lot more than you would expect in a small book like this because a lot of the answers are just bullet point, half a dozen words. This is the problem. Threaded like lines on cylinder grinding and a poor finish, rest the wheel. And that to me is very, very good. Also the pictures and the line drawings are taken from an aspect you can actually see what's going on. So I'll bring you around behind me and try and figure some way to get the camera to have a good look in the book and run you through some of the pages. Now, I got this particular one from ozarktoolmanuals.com. They're over in the States. OZARK Tool Manuals. Very good people to deal with. Service is excellent. I think this took about 8 or 9 days to get here from the States. They charged me surface mail and it came out here, so I was quite happy with that. And that's where I got the Cuffle book from. Although that's actually a book, not a reproduction like this. Okay, now the cover inside says AA Jones and Shipman, and at the start of the address it's got 50 to 52 Great Peter Street, SW1, I don't know, but I can't find any date of writing, which I find quite surprising. But looking at the machines and the way the guys are dressed, I'd put it late 50s, early 60s, and especially with what they're calling some of their braziers. So, enough of my bullshit. I'll bring the camera around behind me and see if I can get you to look at the pages. Okay, I hope this comes out good enough for you to see from up there. I'll try and get specific pages later on, but look, this is the index, and it's got some really good info. Cylindrical grinding, which is the main reason I bought it, and it was advertised as a book that showed techniques for grinding precision, and it really does do that. Cylindrical grinding, it covers in-feed, grinding wheel speeds. They've got a nomogram of work and traverse speeds, and work speeds and traverse speeds. Internal grinding, it's got a little bit. Surface grinding, now here's some very good pages. Defective work and its correction. There's 4 pages dedicated to that, and that's just, as I said, got bullet points. Now, a lot of it here is grinding wheels and their description. Well, that's also in the Norton book. Tool and cutter grinding, there's quite a bit dedicated to that, and that's a subject that's I'm close to. Clearance angle setting gauge, charts for clearance setting, direct setting from the cutter head, grinder and peripheral teeth on side and face cutters, grinding angle cutters, flutes on form cutters, and then there's a bit of a spiel on the Johnson Shipman tool and cutter grinder, reamer grinding, setting gauges, tooth rests. There's also a section on single point cutting tools, lathe and planer tools, tool grinding angles, and cemented carbide tools and cutters. And those particular pages, I would urge anyone who wants to grind tools to learn to do single point tools or single edge tools, because a multi-edge tool is just a single point tool multiplied by the number of flutes. There's also a bit on dust extractions and producing a fine surface finish. Now, grinding attachments, they give a bit of information on the radial grinding and wheel forming attachment, sine bar, hob grinding, tap relief and flute grinding attachment, and that's very similar to the one that I have. And how's the language? The art and practice of precision grinding. Wheel, internal grinding, a lot of very good information on internal grinding and surface grinding, rate of infeed, determining work speed and traverse speeds for cylindrical internal grinding, and there's the nomograms for those that can read them. Quite simple actually. Grinding wheel speeds. I haven't seen this level of detail in a machining book to date. Truing and dressing grinding wheels, and when to dress. Dust extraction, amount of infeed to use, coolant supply, selection of grinding wheels, and they're still talking about carborundum alloxide and aluminium oxide grinding wheels, or could they call them bauxite grinding wheels. A good definition of grits to use for different finishes. And structure, I did a bit of an explanation on one of my videos on density and porosity, and that's not very often mentioned in books. Inspection for wheels and storage. Now, grinding wheel recommendations. I have seen a better book than this. I was a Norton Abrasives custom belt specifier for some years, and I had a copy of their manual, which was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, a lot of good recommendations in there. You can see the amount of info that's in here. And if you've got any custom built wheels, they give you somewhere to record your specs. Cemented carbide cutters, effective work and its correction, clearance angles and what they mean, what clearance angles to use, although they're fairly low clearance angles, so I would say it's for very early high-speed steel tooling. Now, simple setting gauges for centre height for your cutter. Linear setting, that means using the straight face of the wheel rather than the periphery of a type 1 wheel, and it shows setting up with a gauge to get the tooth on centre height and indexing from underneath with a very simple indexer. Now, one of my videos I took an indexer I have apart and showed how easy they are to make for yourself, although I haven't made any, but they don't look that difficult. Now, the clearance angle setting gauge with a pictorial of it, I just would like to get my hands on it. Direct indexing from the cutter head, wheel dressing, dressing to centre. Now, this is a very, very good clearance angle setting chart. The cutter diameter in inches, the clearance angle that you want, and the distance above or below centre, depending which way you're going, that you put the centre line on the wheel to get the required clearance. Reamer clearance tables, clearance angle setting, and look at that for line drawings, absolutely superb. All up, I think I bought it off eBay and paid, I think, about $15 US freight. So it's about $121 landed here in Australia. And if your intention is to grind tools, that's money well spent. Grinding helical milling cutters. Grinding angle cutters. Grinding the flutes on form cutters. Reamer grinding. How to set the wheel up correctly for reamer grinding, and using a dish wheel and using the back of the dish wheel. Hob grinding attachment with all the setting of the sine bar. Radial grinding and wheel forming attachment, and radius grinding. Tap relief and flute grinding attachment. Flute grinding of taps. Relief grinding. Shows a nice tool rest here for lathe and planer tools. Now, a lot of this form relief grinding is very, very difficult without attachments, but I've shown one attachment in yesterday's video and another one a few months ago that I built myself following the Clarkson pattern, and with those grinders being very low cost, and the one that I built from scrap, the dollar value to get it into your shop is not that difficult. Good description on basic cutting tool grinding. Most of your common tools, and just an equivalence page. So, now you've had a good look through my latest read. I was going to do a abrasive machining video on this, but I just thought I'd get it up first and give you a look. As I said, if you had one book to buy, you'll get more out of this than you will out of the others, but once again, you won't get everything out of this. Well guys, that's bringing this one to a close. I'll get back to doing very little because it's pretty hot right now, but after that I've got to clean up all the leaves after the last couple of storms. So yep, I can recommend this book as being invaluable even today in the world of CNC. Old books can show you a lot of good things. Now, next video, which I hope to do in a couple of days' time, maybe even tomorrow if the weather holds up, I want to try grinding a twist drill with an axial grinding attachment I've got, the motorised one that I use for countersinks. I'm interested to see what sort of point you get. And I think it might be an S-shaped point. Some of the American books allude to that, but I'm just interested to see whether it works or not, because if it does, that's just another way to use the Clarkson drill grinding attachment. Okay, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you when we've got another bit of info.